To ensure that there is efficiency in service delivery, it is imperative that operations in the Nigerian maritime sector are guaranteed by an arbitrator that is unbiased. That umpire has the responsibility of ensuring a free and fair competitive environment. The agency charged with this responsibility is the Nigerian Shippers Council. So, if you did not know about the responsibilities of the Nigerian Shippers Council before, this episode will give you a little more insight. I welcome you to this episode of The Shipper. My name is Abike Idowu. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll dive into the main story, and Oluwasegun Alukotu will take us on a journey into the maritime sector around the world on his segment, Tidbits. Don't go away.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a need. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa, email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
For you, we dey gidigba,
Nigerian Shippers Council with a meeting now for the port of Nane.
Welcome back. You are watching The Shipper, the flagship program of the Nigerian maritime sector. This program is brought to you by the Nigerian Shippers Council, the nation's port economic regulator. In the period before the creation of the Nigerian Shippers Council in 1978, there was a deteriorating quality of shipping services and unmitigated increase in ocean freight rates by foreign ship owners. The outcry arising from this adverse situation led the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, to intervene, and a new world maritime order was encapsulated. This led to the creation of shippers' councils in developing countries where Nigeria falls. In this episode of The Shipper, the Executive Secretary and CEO of the Council, Right Honorable Emmanuel Jime, speaks exclusively with the shipper on the history, activities, and achievements of the Council. Lucy Uligbe now brings us up to speed.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, whose mandate is to establish an enabling environment for all stakeholders by instituting an effective economic regulatory system in the Nigerian ports, is a government agency under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. The Council was established in 1978 by Decree 13, now Cap 133 LFN, and was vested with the responsibility of protecting the interests of Nigerian shippers, that is, the importers and the exporters, on matters affecting the shipment of their goods to and from Nigeria. The Executive Secretary, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Right Honorable Emmanuel Jime, who in December 2021 unveiled his agenda for the Council for the year 2022, spoke to the shipper on the activities and responsibilities of the Council since its appointment as Port Economic Regulator.
The federal government, in its wisdom, decided to appoint the Shippers Council as Port Economic Regulator. So that was at the point at which the current situation of Nigerian Shippers Council and its position as port economic regulator came into being. And so we can now begin to talk about the functions of the Shippers Council when it assumed, this responsibility of being a port economic regulator. Now, in that wise, the responsibilities and the mandate and the function of the Shippers Council include, amongst many, the streamlining, harmonization and the coordination of cargo clearing processes, okay, in order to eliminate, costly delays and cumbersome cargo clearing procedures.
He added that the Council also has a mandate to provide guidelines on tariff setting in order to guard against arbitrariness and reduce cost of shipping on the economy.
It's also the responsibility of the Shippers Council in pursuit of this mandate of being port economic regulator, to encourage competition. And I mean, when you bring competition in the marketplace, usually what that does is that automatically it ensures that there is efficiency in service delivery, because you can only survive in a competitive market on the quality of the services that you deliver. So it is the responsibility of a regulator like the Shippers Council in this particular sector to make certain that there is competition in the space, and to also, of course, most importantly, guard against monopoly and abuse of domination in the marketplace. We also have the additional responsibility now to perform mediatory role among stakeholders and to establish accessible and modern dispute resolution mechanisms. In doing this, we also have in place today in the Shippers Council a complaints unit where every single complaint that is arising out of operation and delivery of services in the industry is reported to. And then we now have a mechanism, in the Shippers Council that ensures that we can mediate, perform mediatory roles in order to enable parties who may be in dispute to have an amicable resolution of those disputes as well.
Speaking about the achievement of the Council since its assumption of duty, the Executive Secretary revealed that the Council has begun collaborations with various agencies.
I would say that since I came into office, and that was in July of 2021, first thing that I did was to ensure that I had a clear understanding of the industry by reaching out and meeting with stakeholders and ensuring that I took on board all of the issues that were challenging as far as delivery of services in the maritime domain was concerned. And I'm happy to say that in the course of those meetings and the discussions we have had, one of the outcomes immediately was for me to realize the need to have a standing committee. That standing committee is one that is, of course, composed of representatives of shipping line agencies, meeting together now with the Nigerian Shippers Council. And the whole aim, is to maintain a harmonious working relationship with the shipping companies. The Council is also working together with the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, and this with a view to instituting a protection regime, all right, for the shipping and ports industry. I like to speak about this because recently there was a particular intervention by this agency in the maritime domain that caused a lot of uproar. There was a report of police people going into the port area in order to shut out some terminals, and there was a lot of anger that came as a result of that intervention. Indeed, at a point, people were beginning to point accusing fingers at the Shippers Council as abdicating from its responsibility. We swung into action immediately when this was reported to us, got in touch with my colleague, the Director General of the Consumer Protection Agency, and we've gone and had several meetings, and now we have resolved that we need to have a memorandum of understanding that will streamline the nature of the relationship that our agency and the Consumer Protection Agency must have. Now it has been made clear that for any such intervention to occur in the maritime domain, there has to be some sort of collaboration and a partnership with the Nigerian Shippers Council. This has become necessary, and I need to explain this, so people can understand. Whilst we have the responsibility to regulate that constraint that we have. So we're not able, for instance, to enforce in a way that will actually deliver on the quick results that would have needed.
Speaking on the regulatory legal regime, Jime told the shipper about the council's promotion of the legislation for carriage of goods by land.
We are also actually now promoting the enactment, of a regulatory legal regime that will regulate, the carriage of goods by land and road. Now, this is an important instrument that people may not appreciate until it comes into operation. At the moment, there is a challenge, for instance, that is affecting the operations of our dry ports, some of which have actually started operating, like the Kaduna Inland Dry Port, for example, which, by the way, has actually been designated as a port of origin and a port of destination. But one of the challenges, one of the main hampering issues that we've been dealing with as far as the efficacy or the effectiveness of service delivery in a place like the Kaduna Dry Port is the fact that today most shipping companies are not willing to issue true bill of ladings that will ensure the delivery of cargo to the dry port. And the reason they say this is because there is no legal regime that is covering the evacuation of goods from our seaside into the hinterlands. And so there was a need, to ensure that, a legal instrument is put in place that will provide some sort of coverage.
The ES went ahead to shed more light on the achievements of the council registered by the Complaints Unit. He urged stakeholders to take full advantage of the council's Complaints Unit.
Between July to December 2021, we had altogether a total of about 171 complaints that the Shippers Council received. I'm happy to say that we have totally resolved 82 of them out of 171. There's, of course, 89 cases that are still not resolved yet. But the good news out of all the effort that we have done so far is that in the course of attending and intervening to these issues of complaints that have been brought by Nigerian shippers to the Shippers Council, we were able to save the Nigerian economy over 900 million within the period that I'm discussing right now because of our intervention as far as complaints. So Nigerian shippers particularly can go home and take the comfort that there is an agency that now ultimately standing up to the responsibility of dealing, with complaints. Having said that, I think it is necessary to further expand on this particular issue of complaints and the unit that we have. I feel that stakeholders in the industry are still not taking full advantage of this complaints unit. Maybe because we have not done well enough as far as the publicity that we have given to our activities is concerned. So let me take privilege of this particular interview, to say to the stakeholders to please take full advantage of the complaints unit of the Shippers Council. We are indeed in a position to be able to intervene and to resolve and to make sure that every single complaint that has been brought, before us is not only addressed but addressed in a satisfactory manner. For instance, we have a platform, the PSSP. That's the support portal that we have. It's a platform that is available 24/7, literally, at every time of the day, at the punch of a button. We can receive your complaints about anything that you feel is impeding your ability to be able to do business in our ports or definitely in our maritime industry, and that we'll be able to address those complaints once, of course, they are brought to our notice.
Speaking on the Inland Dry Port project, Jime told the shipper that substantial progress is being made at the IDPs in Dala, Kano State, Haipang, Jos, and Funtua, Katsina State.
As I speak, the dry port in Jos has now gotten a new owner. The Plateau State government actually has now fully taken over the Haipang dry port in Jos with huge financial investments, I have to say. Right now, there is an effort that we're working together with the Plateau State government to ensure that we have a concessionaire that will finally fully drive the establishment of that dry port. There is already some level of infrastructure there, but I think with this injection of capital that the Plateau State government has brought about. Most importantly, the fact that they've completely taken over that facility, that gives me confidence. It gives me some comfort. So we can also hopefully speak about the ultimate imminent operation of the dry port at Haipang.
Noting that the Maritime Agency is multifaceted, he spoke about some challenges thwarting Nigeria from being the maritime hub of Africa.
The maritime industry, in my opinion, is the infrastructure deficit. You know, there is no way that you can effectively deliver a maritime sector, because without all the other components that are supposed to go along with it, because the industry does not stand on its own. So for instance, you're talking about road network. Okay, I mean, if you want to move cargo from our seaports into the hinterlands, as at today, there is only one major mode of transportation, that's roads. Let me give some commendation to this present administration as far as their attention, to the delivery of road networks around the country is concerned. There are certain things that are happening that, it may not be fair to just dismiss them as no issues. If we develop the road infrastructure around this nation in the way that has been conceived, and as I see it going, there's a likelihood that you're going to move economic activities a lot faster, more efficiently, and more effectively when you have good road network anywhere. And so, but it's a challenge, because as of today, we do not have anywhere near enough the roadwork capacity that we should have in order for our maritime activities, to be efficiently carried out. The rail linkages, okay, we all know also that as of today, this government also will definitely get some commendation for the attention that has been paid to railways. There's a lot of development that is ongoing, but we need a lot more. So I have to say that until we get to that point when we can effectively carry our cargo from Lagos to Kano, from Lagos to Maiduguri, until we get to that point when we can effectively carry our cargo from One in Port Harcourt to Maiduguri in the northeast, unless we're able to get to that point, it will be clear that we will still continue to depend on our road network, and that to me is not an effective way of delivering on maritime services. Nigeria is blessed with all kinds of waterways that you can best imagine. If we only can do the necessary hard work that has to be done and ensure the dredging of our rivers so that our waterways can become navigable, that will impact tremendously in the way that our maritime domain will also respond to it.
Despite resistance, the Council remains an agency who is charged with monitoring and enforcing standards of service delivery.
The Nigerian Shippers Council will continue to serve as a voice for shippers and ensure fairness in the maritime industry. It's now time to join Oluwasegun Aluko on an expedition around the world of maritime activities in tidbits.
At a focus group discussion with the Complaints Unit of the Nigerian Shippers Council, the Chairman, Convention on Business Integrity, Mr. Jime Apampa, said that efforts are ongoing to improve the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network's helpdesk call answering service. In the same vein, the Coordinator General Post-Standard Task Team, Mr. Moses Fadekpe, who moderated one of the sessions, educated participants on the steps to be followed in complaint handling. He stressed on immediate acknowledgement of a complaint as soon as it is received, as well as the need to abide with the time frame for each step so as to achieve a lesser turnaround for complaint resolution. Now to our complaint register for the week. A total number of 8 complaints were received. 2 have been resolved and 6 are ongoing investigations. Some of these complaints include demurrage waiver, burnt vehicle on board, missing container, detention of cargo, damaged cargo, and betrayal of trust. When it comes to swift resolution of complaints, you can always count on the Nigerian Shippers Council. Here is a letter of appreciation from Cloverleaf Shipping Limited. On behalf of our client, Skyward Resources Limited, we are pleased to write to you and your organization for the swift intervention in ensuring the release of their cargo. Kindly be informed that the appropriate receipt has been issued by the liner's agent, MSC, having earlier declined to do so. Once again, we thank you most sincerely for your intervention and satisfactory resolution of the issue, which would have added to the already huge delay in the cargo clearance. And here is a reminder to all regulated service providers, such as terminal operators, barge operators, shipping companies, freight forwarders, and clearing agents, amongst others, to register with the Council. Failure to do so will attract penalties. Registration can be done via the website www.shipperstradedata.gov.ng. Next is Global Maritime News. Ghana Port Health is set to impose a fine of $30,500 on vessels that have unvaccinated crew or passengers on board. 1. P&I Club Guard. The club recommended having crew vaccinated with any World Health Organization approved vaccine, all of which will be accepted by Ghanaian officials if a vessel calls at Ghana. In China, the number of COVID cases across the country has reached the highest since March 2020, as the country reported a daily rise of 223 new infections, with the first local transmission of the Omicron variant reported in Beijing and Shenzhen. On the bright side, in Ningbo, the world's third largest container port, which has been in partial lockdown, restrictions have been eased, making entry and exit easier for truck drivers heading to the city's 5 container terminals. In Japan, largest refiner Enios and compatriot Marubeni have signed a memorandum of understanding for the introduction of an eco-friendly ethylene carrier, which will be chartered by Marubeni. Marubeni said that the vessel will be the first ethylene carrier equipped with a dual-fuel engine which uses liquefied natural gas and very low sulfur fuel oil. This vessel is expected to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 40% compared to conventional ethylene carriers. Italian shipbuilder Fincantieri has floated out Viking Neptune, the newest ocean cruise ship of the Swiss cruise line, Viking, at its shipyard in Ancona. Like its other small cruise sister ships, Viking Neptune is about 47,800 tons, with 465 cabins and accommodation for 930 passengers. The ship was built according to the latest navigation regulations and equipped with modern safety systems. It also features energy-efficient engines, optimized hydrodynamics, and all, as well as systems that minimize pollution produced by exhaust gases. Kongsberg Maritime is set to supply a combination of systems to Non-Wind Offshore for installation on its 2 new Commissioning Service Operations Vessels, CSOVs, due for construction at the Vard shipyard in Norway. Kongsberg Maritime's scope of delivery encompasses a combination of systems which will enable the operator to maximize operational windows while minimizing overall energy consumption. Terminal operator APM Mola has decided to bring forward its net zero greenhouse gas emission target to 2040, a decade ahead of its initial 2050 ambition. A 70% reduction in total emissions has been set as an interim milestone for the period 2020 to 2030. The commitment builds upon the company's existing strategic approach to decarbonization and recent investment in a full suite of solutions to reduce its carbon footprint. And that's it on Tidbits for this week.
From A to B, from A to B, from north to south, from north to south, from east to west, from east to west, from port to port, from port to port. You can ship your goods and feel good too. Oh yeah, Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
The Nigerian Shippers Council is now better poised with responsive systems in place to help you and other shippers get seamless, stress-free transition for your clients' goods from point A to B. Today at the Nigerian Shippers Council, timeliness, orderliness, transparency, and efficiency is all we care about. Put your complaint through to our helpline. Visit us at number 4 Ayodele Shoyode Lane, Apapa, Lagos, or reach us on www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the port of your needs.
And that's it on our program today. Do remember to register with Nigerian Shippers Council as a regulated service provider on www.shipperstradedata.gov.ng. It's been a pleasure bringing you the program, but a bigger pleasure as always is having you join us. Let's do this again next week when we bring you another exciting episode of The Shipper. Until then, have a swimmingly great week. Goodbye.